Hello, lovely humans. Today I have a delightful guest and friend with us, Ryan Seaman, who I met in real life last year in Los Angeles while I was hanging out with some friends out there. And we had this beautiful synchronistic meeting, and fun story I'm going to tell you really quick was that he was just starting to birth his brand, his new brand. And we got on a call to talk about it with his business partner and co founder of this brand that you're going to hear more about here soon, Brian, who was in Maui. And then I just moved to Maui recently, happened to meet Brian through another synchronistic turn of events where we have the same community here. And then he just moved to Los Angeles to go be back with Ryan to work on this. So, really fun rainbow sacred geometry of life weaving with Ryan Seaman here, the co founder of Living Prana. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really delighted to have this conversation with you.
Oh, thank you, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be here, and likewise delighted to explore all the subjects and topics you want to throw our way.
Yay. It's just gonna unfold naturally and beautifully and delightfully. So we'll go into what Living Prana is, your this beautiful creation of you and Brian's. But first, let's just take a deep breath and open the portal. Ryan, in this incarnation, in this moment on our planet, this wild, wild moment on our planet of increasing synchronicity and perceived insanity sometimes around us, what is this your soul's mission?
Hmm. I think as you pose the question that way, and as I relate to the chaos and the insanity and all the things, I think that if I was going to use a word, it'd be reconciliation. And to me, that means harmonizing what's imbalanced or bringing order to the chaos and kind of, navigating the shadow elements. And as Jung says, the only way out is through. And so to me, it's a personal mission. It's also, I think, one that I'm committed to for the collective as well. And there's a lot of different approaches that I personally take to that.
Mm. Yeah, there are a lot of approaches that you take to that. You are an actor, an astrologer, um, a recipe maker. You bring a lot of modalities to your life in order to harmonize the field, harmonize this chaos and duality and create order.
Yeah, I mean, I can go a number of directions with any of those cues. I would say that one, I guess, point for clarification is I discovered in 2006 on a journey in Mexico and the uh, in I'm trying to Chichen Itza, where I got a very strong download that you'll never act another day the rest of your life. And it was in that moment that I pivoted to the healing arts exclusively, whereas I was doing both healing arts and the dramatic arts. And so acting is a lifetime ago, one that I honor and cherish, and was a great stepping board for me to know myself. And I haven't, however, been an actor for probably 15 years, I think.
Mm.
Yeah. So it took a course of going into the healing arts, and astrology was a big piece of that. And of course, there are many different, I guess, avenues we can go down with that. But the word that comes to me as you're talking about is it's alchemy at the end of the day, right? Astrology for me was such an alchemical process of understanding myself and the cosmos and the collective consciousness that we're all, kind of swimming through, and beginning to understand on a more objective level how this all is influenced by the orientation of our solar system.
Mm. How do you define alchemy?
How do I define alchemy? It's taking energy and it's utilizing it transforming it into whatever vision or aim we have. So I would say, you know, as Lenin said, there are no problems, only solutions. And the idea that, all right, we're going to hit resistance in equal measure to the affirming energy we put out. That's a law of physics, right? Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So the key to it, and this is a Gurdjieffian teaching in the fourth way, has to do with the third energy, that there's affirming, there's denying, and then finding the reconciling. So I find that reconciliation is probably another word for alchemy as well, of taking one thing and transmuting it into something more intentional, more deliberate, more conscious.
Mm. And that's sort of one passion I have right now, particularly with the work with the medicine I'm doing and my pilgrimage to Chavin de Huantar in Peru, is harmonizing duality.
Mm.
And it's not running from duality, which I think a lot of people sort of, and not that I'm righteous about this, but I perceive that as a mistake, to run from duality, but instead to like really dive into and alchemize it. And that brings up one thing that you mentioned when you were talking about your purpose, which is sort of integrating the shadow. I'm not sure if those are your exact words, but you mentioned that. Can you talk a little bit about that role, the role of that in the reconciliation process?
Yeah, well, I think what you just spoke to, I agree with, around not running from duality, but really looking at, you know, these polarizing energies that we encounter, and to take the shadow. Let's use, you know, I'll probably reference Carl Jung once or twice through our conversation, but to take the depth psychology work that he did, and to comprehend the ability to essentially know the shadow, befriend the shadow, you know, make it an ally, such that we're not projecting it outward and, you know, let's say vilifying one person for a behavior that we don't feel comfortable with, or for that matter, playing into projection they're throwing onto us in a way that keeps that ego entanglement engaged, but rather seeing that element always as a kind of uh, a relevant component to any interaction that we have, and not get identified with it. And so there's a process of disidentifying with it as who we perceive ourselves to be, and rather having the awareness of its presence and disidentification from any, let's say, contractive energy, or, you know, aggressive adversarial energies. And so it's a different way of, as I see it, at least, that alchemy becomes, oh, there's the shadow, whether it's mine or theirs, or it's just a collective shadow that is part of the human psyche that we're all navigating, and therefore can have compassion for, as opposed to a strong aversion, aggression, you know, defense against. And that's easier said than done, for sure, for me. And hopefully that's not too long-winded and answers the question as an integration component.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And so the journey I'm on right now so much is about inviting the divine into every single moment that I'm in, into this body, in every single moment that I'm in. And that means that the whole ride that I'm on, the whole ride that I'm on as an individual, and the whole ride that we're on as a collective, is an experience that God is having through us.
Mm.
Right. And so then that necessitates that we really sort of own that the trials and tribulations and the dramas that happen in our lives are just really part of a grand experience, the theater, because of the need to have experience, that we just chose to have experiences in this physical plane. In order to do that, we needed to create some dramas. So while you're not an actor in the traditional sense that we were talking about, there is a way in which we are all actors in the drama of our lives, and how much consciousness can we bring into that so that we can actually have as much fun with it as possible, no matter what's happening around us.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you talk about being an embodiment of the divine, having it, you know, here we are, the kind of the vessels through which the divine can express itself. And therefore you can look at the shadow, or you can look at the unconscious elements of our thoughts, our behaviors, and see that as divine as well, as this kind of karmic, you know, platform that we get to navigate without ideas that it's right or wrong, or good or bad. And Pema Chodron has a wonderful teaching about that, you know, and it's concurrent with a Rumi excerpt from a poem about, you know, outside the idea of wrongdoing and right doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. And I find that to be one I like to return to as often as I can if I do feel like I'm either making someone else wrong or I'm being made wrong. And remember that, oh, we're actually operating now at a, let's say, a more identified engagement with samsara, in the Buddhist tradition, samsara being this is the realm in which we play out our karma. We came back to clean it up. You and I have karma because here we are talking. So on some level, we have how many past lives that we've led to this moment to have an engagement. And synchronicities, as you were mentioning earlier, is for me this wonderful, wonderful lens of perception on just how profound, really, the opportunity to resolve karma from past lives or bring forth and bring about we get to uplift each other, like rising tide lifts all boats, so to speak. And here we are engaging with people, and this conversation for you is of course supporting me, and hopefully likewise in what we're doing to kind of be this, oh, here we are creating the next epoch of our evolution as humans. And that, then it becomes this like incredible dance of, oh, okay, that person, I could perceive them having done me wrong, but like you said, it's kind of like, I'll use my words, but it's not happening to us, it's happening for us. And how can I engage that and dance in that and trust in that without, playing victim or going down some of those otherwise lower vibratory orientations to a situation that is ultimately in the continuum, lifting us up in ways that might feel like it's putting us down in the short term, but it's of course that big bounce up, that it's like, every contractive energy or oppressive energy is actually, back to alchemy, ours to transmute and then lift up into, oh, now we're in a new octave of our evolution based on, like, not in spite of that, but because of that, right?
Absolutely. If one declares oneself an alchemist and takes all of those really juicy, dark moments in one's life and uses that as a point of trajectory, then
Yeah,
it can get really cool. And that what you have to do though is in those moments of perceived darkness, you have to know in the moment, in that present moment, that is your alchemy and be grateful for it. And that can be a challenge to be like, oh, I'm so grateful to be in this feeling of scarcity right now. I can even find some joy in it, maybe.
yeah,
So because I know that this is a part of my hero or heroine's journey and my part of my path, and I'm burning off this karma that's been with me for generations, and now I get to have this opportunity to actually burn it off and rise from the ashes,
totally.
um, with my friends.
Yes, and you're right. I mean, finding the joy in it and finding the trust, and it's part of a larger whole that, it's temporal. It'll shift and pass, and being fully present to it, I believe, is the one of the keys to fully transmuting that. Is, okay, I'm not going to look away or in some way numb myself to this. I'm going to feel this to the core of what's present, and then, obviously, in however many minutes or hours or days it requires, it does shift. And I think the more we presence ourselves to the immediacy of what's up and what's arising in our experience, the more resolved it will be. And then, the forward motion into, again, our intention or the aim, let's say it's abundance relative to scarcity, and saying, okay, if I'm fully present to like every cell in my being, this feeling of scarcity, because it's what's here. It's not real. I'm not identified with it, but I'm not going to look away from it either. I want to know it. I want to befriend it. There's the shadow, right? And then coming forward, it's like, oh, your ability to receive and be present is all the more enhanced, right?
Mm, yeah, no bypassing here.
No, no, as much as, and that's easier said than done, but yes, absolutely no
So
bypassing.
much easier said than done. I'm sure I could give lip service to that all day, and
Mhm.
and then I must continue to be here now when the shit hits the proverbial fan.
There you go.
So yeah, I want to two things. I want to bring us back earthbound, although that all was very earthbound, but I want to get practical. And one thing that we've been talking about is that divine embodiment, which actually reminds me of the name of your brand, Living Prana,
Mm.
right? So prana being that sort of divine life force, and living being these beautiful bodies that we are in, living on this planet. So I really resonate with the brand that you came up with. Can you talk a little bit more about what living prana means and how that weaves itself into your sort of into your narrative, and what it is?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. And yeah, so my business partner, co-founder Brian Murphy, and I, we were on Maui, in fact, in August of last year, and we were doing our brand strategy week with someone on Zoom, and we were going through a process of really like finding like, what is our brand, what is our mission, what is our ethos. We both brought very similar mindsets and ideologies to it, and in terms of what living prana is. I'll kind of just dive into that before maybe the name and how it came together will emerge. But we both just kind of took a product that I had created prior to meeting Brian, which is prana cakes and brain cakes. Those are the two flagship products that we developed as a means for basically revitalizing a food that everyone has a relationship with on some level, familiarity, pancakes, waffles, and really rebooting it and making it healthy, making it something that revitalizes the body versus what is more common in that space around a depletion or preservatives, refined sugars, things that require the body to process more than actually be enhanced by what you're putting in it, which is what, essentially functional foods as a whole, as a category, is not a food that just provides nutrients, but actually enhances your experience, elevates what was there. So you're better off having consumed it as opposed to just getting nourishment. So the cognitive enhancements that you get with the brain cakes, or the body revitalizing and nourishment you get with the prana cakes, those are done very deliberately, and back to kind of like living prana as a vehicle for Brian and I to bring health and wellness, not just in the pancake and waffle space, though that's where we're currently operating, but to do so in a way that on every level, with relationship to the planet, relationship to cognitive function and physiological benefits. How do you tie that all together? And so, our mindset is food is medicine, body as temple, and earth is essential. And the idea that the three have to, when we find that relationship with nature, and you can speak very educatedly around where different plants offer different up-leveling of our human experience, and we can talk about the more plant medicine space, or in this case with living prana, functional foods. So it came together through a process of prana cakes was the name of my original product that I had created at Burning Man a few years ago, and I can get into that story. But the basic gist was, this is something that is real. We want prana to be a part of our larger umbrella offering and branding in the world. How do we encourage people just to have an awareness of what prana is, right? That vital life force energy that is what we want to ultimately cultivate. And there are many practices that most people, on a health path do, whether it's exercise and meditation, but it's orienting to energy in a very deliberate way. And if we look at food, in large part, and my upbringing is reflective of this as well, in large part, we don't necessarily consider that what we're putting in our body is going to impact our level of energy, and there are ways to spike energy, and that's coffee and caffeine. And there are ways to let's say sedate energy, whether it's tryptophan, you eat turkey and you kind of get a little tired or whatever. There are ways that we can modulate our energetics. And when you understand the precepts of traditional Chinese medicine and herbology and Ayurveda as well, you understand that there are ways to calibrate our experience very deliberately, and there are some people who are very conscientious about that, and there are others who don't even give it a second thought. And I think that in the Western world, in large part, that is a major problem. And if not literally globally, that I personally recognize, and this isn't me saying, this is me just recognizing a lot of people more educated than I am have pointed to the gut biome and the impact that has on our serotonin and dopamine levels and overall mental health. So if you're putting things in your body that are consistently throwing you out of balance, or requiring the body to calibrate to process something that isn't natural, that has an impact not just on the physical, but also on the mental wellness of the organism, right? So that's a long-winded answer in a way, but we found through pancakes and waffles a way to begin to access a way for people to bridge themselves into being optimized. And, and that comes down to the superfoods, adaptogens, and functional mushrooms that we chose to combine, the synergies they create and the overall benefits that they provide. And we can go into all of that, but I feel like I've kind of been long-winded so far.
You're really good though at I feel like it drawing my attention in as you're talking about pancakes. We're talking about spirit and the body and all the topics that I'm most interested in. So you can be as long-winded as you want talking about your pancakes, as far as I can tell. like, like this is great. Um, I love whenever things that you wouldn't imagine can be a metaphor for something so much bigger. And I feel like what you're doing with Living Prana is that um, it really is sort of creating a new paradigm. I'm all about the new paradigm of nourishment and of food, especially in this world that we've been in for the last decades or hundreds of years of really not fully being in our body temples and treating it as such.
Yeah.
And here you're creating something that is optimizing. It's actually enhancing. It's not just sustaining. So moving from sustainability to regeneration.
Mm.
Um, and my kid loves it. I have a 7-year-old son, and I was like really hopeful because he's picky AF. And I'm like, if we can just, get him to fall in love with these things, then I'm solid, because I do not love spending hours and hours. I'm a single mom in the kitchen cooking. I like to have something really healthy that I can share easily, that is gonna, I mean, this is like better than I could have imagined, something that's regenerative, that's a pancake. So thank you, Ryan Seaman, for Living Prana.
Well, I'll take half the credit, and Brian the other half. But yeah, we're happy to hear that, and we've had a lot of really incredible feedback from parents as well, knowing that what's beautiful is the mindfulness of supplementation and functional foods in general has definitely been at a very massive acceleration based on what happened through the pandemic and through people beginning to just understand that there's a way to just balance your immunity in general with what you're putting in your body. And there's supplements, but then there's also, how do we take that awareness and then apply it to foods that people eat either every day or very often. And when it comes to kids, right, I'm not a parent, but I do recognize that I was a finicky eater as a kid, and so too my nieces have, there's a kind of I get that reference point from my sister around how difficult it is to really like put healthy and delicious food into the bellies of children. And how does that work? And this wasn't the initial mission. I just happened to love pancakes, and my dad was my hero for making them every Saturday. And then I discovered just how easy they are to make. But then I got to take it to another level based on what happened at Burning Man and the need to just get all these nutrients in my body, and not having a blender, but having a pancake mix. So it's one of our fun little catchphrases is flip your smoothie. It's just like, it's a smoothie and a pancake, basically. And so taking all these different nutrients and finding the right flavor profile as well, functional benefits, and realizing that, I would say spirit guided this. I don't take any credit for the fact that prana cakes were born. They were born out of necessity. And and to then have them become this product that people are genuinely, loving and appreciating, not just for the taste or the fact that there's, a way to eat pancakes in a more healthy way, but for the benefits they're experiencing in the long term. Like I eat them virtually every day now, especially as I was sampling to get the right, ingredients together to formulate the cakes, Brian and I both. And we discovered that, each of these different adaptogens and superfoods and functional mushrooms, we get to experience firsthand the benefits. And so it's this kind of litmus test or we're our own beta testers of, oh wait, this isn't just conceptual, or it isn't just taking literature that we found and studied in order to create our formulation, but we're having the visceral experience of a cognitive enhancement, a physical revitalization. Neither Brian nor I have gotten sick in a very long time based on, at least in part, a healthy life. Well, definitely a healthy lifestyle, but in part thanks to the pancakes and waffles that we are consuming every day, and then the cleanliness of the ingredient list that we came up with, and the fact that it's FODMAP friendly. And for listeners that don't know what FODMAP is, it's keeping your glycemic index at a very low level for people with SIBO or IBS or different digestive challenges. It's something that doesn't create the inflammation that many, in terms, like 1 in 4 in this country, are sensitive to. And so they have to be super mindful about what they put in their body, because it will create an inflammatory response very quickly. And so to have a food that qualifies as that was something that honestly we kind of discovered we didn't have that as our aim going out. We just realized, wait, we developed something that fits under these parameters. And then the more powerful feedback is the friends or the customers that will come back to us who have those challenges and say, I can eat these, I can eat something that I enjoy, where usually that would be something that they couldn't because of their sensitivity in their digestive tract.
Oh my God. I have been on a journey of digestive health for like 15 years with SIBO. And I remember trying to do the FODMAPs diet forever ago and having like things in my kitchen hanging up, like what I can have and what I can't have. And it being just like, this is impossible. I cannot do this. So, what a freaking blessing to have an easy to create food item that is delicious and also abides by all of those freaking rules that we need in order to regenerate our digestive health. That is really exciting. I'm not paying lip service to this. I feel like I'm being like super like a commercial right now, but I absolutely 1000% am in full authenticity and integrity by talking this stuff up too, because one is not only they aren't just like normal pancake waffles, you also have like a savory version that you can use like for sandwiches, or with you can put like your guacamole and eggs on it. Like it kind of does everything you need it to do, and it optimizes your health. So yeah, it's pretty good. I want to welcome people to find these delicious creations of yours. I mean, there's all sorts of things for people to discover if they discover you, Ryan, because they can like see your take on what's happening astrologically on your Instagram. And I think you even can work with people in that way. I know I've worked with you in that way. If you're local to LA, you do this like amazing shamanic body work. So there's all of that. But then there's also this living prana. So if people want to find you and all that you have to offer, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, thank you for the kind words and support that way. And easy is, for Living Prana, it's at living_prana is our Instagram and TikTok. And then we've got, for my personal, is at Ryan Scott Seaman, SEAMAN. And our website is livingprana.co, and that's where you can find the product and order it. And we're going into production with our newest versions in the next couple of weeks. And so we'll have new product available very soon, and we're very excited about that.
Can you share what that one's called, or is that still under the
Well,
radar?
it's prana cakes and brain cakes, but we've reformulated the base mix, and so then we have 2 more SKUs that we won't mention yet, but that we will be coming out with. And to your point about the savory, what's nice about these cakes is while they do have a relative sweetness to them, they're very easily repurposed into a savory recipe. We find it's an incredible replacement for bread. So you can do an avocado toast in a whole different way with the prana cake and some avocado and olive oil. I like black truffle salt as a little spice on top. But yeah, we're going to be coming out with, more down the line. We've had a really busy season with events, and we're kind of drawing that to a close as we end the year and going back into the lab, so to speak, to bring the next formulations to life. And we have 2 that we're working on and more that will be coming.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I just thought of another synchronicity that we had. I remembered, and that is that we have both sat with the same ayahuasquero artist, who, yeah, I just remember that as I was reflecting on you. So we have so much in common, including the plant medicine world and the people that we've admired and sat with in that world too.
Yeah.
So I think there's much more to come. I'm grateful to have you in my life, and we'll share all those links in the show notes so people can find it. Oh, one last thing.
Yeah.
If you want 15% off of your order of Living Prana, you can use the coupon code of Resonate. So resonate, like resonate with Sarah.
Beautiful.
Resonate.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
happy to support in that way. And thank you for having me. Thank you for supporting us and bringing this conversation forward and all the conscious, conversions that you're about. I really respect it. And, we're all driving this new paradigm, as best we're able. And so I appreciate that you're championing it so well and so beautifully. So thanks for the support and for
Mm.
friendship.
Ah, thanks, Brian. Hopefully I'll get to hug you in real life again someday.
I look forward to that.
All right. Thanks, y'all, for listening so much. And may you have a divinely inspired rest of your day.